Financial markets are the new battlefield for the 21st century, and we see the currency wars igniting. And I will discuss China versus the US. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. We're going to get into a whole bunch of currency swaps that are taking place right now with China, and that is putting a big damper of the future of the US dollar. Let's get into these right now. This is not a comprehensive list, but there are many in here to go over. I'll just go over them very quickly and we'll discuss what this means. Canada has been designated a trading hub for China's currency, a move aimed at boosting international business between the two countries while also nudging China's once cloistered redback towards global status. This is out of the Star, and what we're talking about here being global status, people are talking about it being a reserve currency. It does have a long way to go. It's not going to happen overnight. The US dollar is not going to lose its reserve currency status tomorrow. And this is something that we need to realize, that previous reserve currencies did take a while to sort of fade away. And this doesn't happen in a single day. Now, let's get on to more information here. It said that Canadians can open bank accounts in Canada that contain China's yuan, also known as the renminbi. So we'll move on. Down in the article, it basically talks about currently, Canadian companies buying and selling in China have to convert the funds used to finance those deals into an intermediary, usually US dollars, an extra step that adds costs. So of course, when you have a reserve currency, they use that in order to create a stable transaction. That's why you use a reserve currency. However, they're finding now, particularly China, is finding now that doing so is really hurting them when they can set up a currency swap between two nations and have it be a direct trade within their own currencies. And this is exactly what is happening, and not just with the BRIC nations, but it is happening with many others, and I'll show you how it is in every single area of the world. Now, you can read the article for yourself and the reason why they're doing it. They just said here most of it will happen in commodities such as wood, oil, and minerals. But, as I said, you can go on to see that for yourself. Connected in with that article is this one out of Reuters. China will additionally give Canadian investors the right to invest up to 50 billion yuan initially in China's capital markets. So I'll move on from this right here. Lots of good information to cover. But I just wanted to show you this article, this diagram from my book, and I've shown it before on here, so I'll just cover it very briefly, but essentially showing you that China wants oil from Russia, so they have to exchange their currency for US dollars, give the US dollars to Russia, and then China can get their oil. But this game that they're playing is really starting to look a little suspicious for China, because they are using their own currency, which is gaining in strength, but the US dollar is only where it is because people are buying it up. Nations are buying it up. So of course, this is supporting it, and it allows them to continue on their schemes of continuous debt. But China is really spearheading this motion to end that. Once again, I'll say, not going to happen overnight. Switzerland is also part of this too. China's central bank announced on Monday that it signed a bilateral currency swap agreement with the Swiss National Bank worth 150 billion yuan. Now, I'd like to say that all of these deals only represent a small transaction when you compare that to what's happening with the US dollar. But it is significant amounts of money when you really total it all up. It isn't something to really, look the other way. We need to look at this and realize how serious it is when you add them all up, and when you realize that it isn't just one nation or a couple nations, it's literally all around the world. We'll move in right here. China and Brazil signed a $30 billion swap accord to bolster the BRICS. This is out of Bloomberg, and essentially what they said was moves to reduce its control over the currency and open up its financial markets. So although they had strict controls in place in many ways, they are very controlled, you look at this and you need to think about it, that they can't just open up the market tomorrow. It would have a very big, very negative effect on the economy and their currency. So they do it slowly but surely, and they're doing it very methodically, and they're doing so very well. Let's move on to this. Argentina to get $1 billion in currency swap with China before the end of 2014. This is out of the RT. And again, goes into South America with Brazil, with Argentina. We looked at North America with Canada. And we'll move on right here. Yuan penetrating the African markets. Let's see this. A number of countries in Africa, among them the Bank of Ghana, are using the RMB as part of their settlement and reserve currency. Earlier this year, the Nigerian central bank reportedly announced it planned to shift more of its foreign reserves into yuan from dollars. So, once again, right here showing you, proving to you what I have been predicting, that the banks, the central banks around the world, these governments are pulling their money from US dollars and they're putting it into alternate investments. Some are choosing gold, some are choosing yuan, some are choosing both. But you can see a diversification occurring, and that's how it begins. With small amounts, they sign them deals that only last a few years and it's a limited amount of money, but they re-sign over and over and over again. And this article here also gets into the different nations that are doing this. It's not just these two that I've covered. So we go into not North America, South America, now Africa. Let's move on right here over with Australia. China and Australia in $31 billion currency swap. Beijing has established nearly 20 bilateral swap lines over the past 4 years. This is exactly what I'm covering right now, showing you that it is so many different nations that are engaging in this. It's very serious to look at. I'm going to move on again. China signed second biggest swap line with the ECB. So now you have Europe engaging in this as well. And this is going to show you how serious this is. I'll move on quickly again, saving you some time here. Chinese currency swap established out of the New Zealand Herald. New Zealand Central Bank has set up a currency swap facility that with China's central bank to help trade and provide options when financial markets are disrupted. This is what happens when you have currencies that fluctuate in between each other. They're not being traded against another commodity or against anything of real value. They're traded oftentimes against the US dollar. Now, the US dollar, as we speak, is doing very well in relation to the other currencies. So, of course, one nation doing trade with China is going to want to do trade with each other's currencies because they're all lower in relation to the US dollar. So why lose money on the trade when you can just do a deal in direct translation with each other? And that's what's happening right now. This is ultimately going to spell disaster for the future. And again, going into the Middle East, United Arab Emirates to activate a $5.7 billion China currency swap soon. The agreement is designated to facilitate two-way trade and investment. This is out of Gulf business, but essentially wanted to show you that in every single corner of the world, they are engaging in the exact same policy. They want to move away from the US dollar, and the other countries who are doing so are showing signs that they also want to move away from the US dollar. At the very least, they want to diversify outward. This will take some time. It's going to be slow, but it is methodical, it is calculated, and it is being done before our very eyes. This will mean the destruction of the US dollar. If you found this video informative, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. I wanted to tell you all that there is a live Q&A session coming in the weeks ahead. I'd like to first start perhaps with a Friday evening, I'm in the Eastern time zone, to do it on a Friday evening, perhaps keep it to about half an hour or so, where we can just use it as a test and we'll see how it works out, and then perhaps plan for more in the future if it all works out. I have received many positive comments through the comment system here on YouTube and also through my email inbox as well, so I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. You can always email me in advance to cover some information so I can have that prepared for you, so we can discuss it live, or we can save it all for that live Q&A session where you can bring it up to me there. Either way, I'd like to cover lots of information and we can really take charge of the truth and not just bring it out in the YouTube videos, but also bring it out in more of a personal type space. And hopefully, if YouTube allows me, I'm not sure, but I can save the video and then repost it later on as a video, so that those who are unable to, based on their time zones or situations they may be incurred at the time, they can watch it at a later date. So that would be obviously something that I would be interested in. I know that you guys are too. Please let me know if that is the case. And that's it for today. I would ask that you become an insider if you're not already. It's where I give it all the best intel. I get many times, I'm getting the same questions over and over. Obviously, people are very concerned about particular issues. So I cover a lot of that on the insiders, specifically to save time, so I can email everyone at the same time. You get all the information all at once. It's perfect, it's concise, and I hope that you'll get on there. It's totally free. It's available at themoneygps.com. You scroll down to the bottom, fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me with good, short, concise info.